Hello and welcome back. Thank you for being here. This is More to the Story. I'm your host, Janna Maron. In addition to this podcast, I also publish a literary arts magazine under the Gumtree, publishing creative nonfiction and visual art. You can find out all about the magazine, subscribing to support our ongoing publishing efforts, submitting to have your work considered for publication in the magazine. All that info is online at underthegumtree.com. I'm also a book coach and editor for women writing personal stories. True personal stories in whatever form of nonfiction that takes. I've had lots of conversations about genre on this podcast, and today's episode is no different. So if you're working on a book incorporating your personal story, whether that's a memoir, whether that's prescriptive, self-help, how-to, a business book, anything incorporating your personal story is where the sweet spot of my work lives. And if you're facing any sort of challenges or struggles, or you're stuck or stalled out on your project, head on over to moretothestory.co/book diagnosis, where you can schedule a 15-minute phone call with me where I will diagnose the problem you're facing and make some recommendations. May or may not include working with me. So there's no pressure. It's literally just, how can I help you? What problems are you facing, and how can we get you unstuck and moving forward? And if you think that a book outline might be the thing to help you, check out moretothestory.co/book outline, where you can download my free book outline formula worksheet and see how that works for you. And if you try to work on that on your own and you're getting stuck there, then you can come back around and schedule that 15-minute call. That 15-minute call is always available. moretothestory.co/book diagnosis, and I would love to chat with you and hear about what you're working on. This podcast episode has also been brought to you by Cafe Santoro, my parents' boutique coffee roastery based here in Northern California. And the best decaf I've ever said, the best decaf I've ever had. And if you don't believe me, don't take my word for it. Head on over to cafesantoro.com/Janna. That's cafe spelled with 2 F's because it's Italian for coffee the Santoro way. Cafesantoro.com/Janna, where you can get 10% off your first order. And I'm here with another episode of a interview conversation with one of my clients where we're talking about her book project, and I alluded to genre being a big part of today's conversation, which is exactly true. And I realized after I finished this conversation with Joella, is the person I'm talking to. I'll introduce her to you shortly. We're kind of going back and forth on what should she call her book. Is it memoir? Is it fiction? Is it autobiographical fiction? Is it speculative nonfiction? And Joella shares a lot about why she felt like she had to call it fiction in her own mind while she was writing, which totally works and is totally fair. And one thing that I like to remind people about, regardless of what you end up calling your book at the end of the day, regardless of what genre you decide your book is, one of the things that's so powerful about memoir in particular is we're claiming the story is true. And not only are we claiming the story is true, but we're claiming it as our truth, as our story, as the thing. We're basically putting a stake in the ground and saying, this happened, and not only did it happen, but it happened to me. And so I wanted to say that from the outset so that we have that as kind of the foundational groundwork around thinking about why does the genre matter? Yeah, you can call it whatever you want, but in terms of personal storytelling, that's why I feel so strongly about claiming it as truth, if that's what it is. So let me introduce to you to Joella, who I'm talking to today. Joella Aragón is a memoir and fiction writer whose global experiences have greatly influenced her storytelling. Growing up in the Air Force, Joella lived in multiple countries, and these diverse environments have become a source of inspiration for her work. She began her professional career as an elementary school teacher before transitioning to work for the California Teachers Association as a labor union representative. Joella is a published short story author, with her work appearing in distinguished publications such as the San Francisco Chronicle and, yes, Under the Gumtree. Additionally, her stories have been brought to life by actors at the Stories on Stage events in Sacramento and Davis, California. She is currently finishing a family saga that poignantly illustrates the enduring strength and resilience of a family navigating historical upheaval, personal trauma, and cultural displacement and mental health. mental illness across generations and is deeply rooted in the intertwined histories of Belize and the United States. And this is the book that Joella and I talk about today. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Joella. Hi, Joella. It's so great to talk to you, and thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Janna. It's so great to talk to you and thank you for having me.
It's been a while. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm happy.
Yes, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
Glad to hear that.
thank you.
So let's start off with a little bit about you and your writing, what kind of writing you do, what you're working on, and if you want to share what your manuscript is about.
So, Janna, I have been writing really on and off my entire life. Not always very good, but progressively always better. And I started out writing on my own when I was working, and then I ended up with writing with you at Old Soul Coffee Shop on Broadway when you
Yes,
had a large group there called Shut Up and Write.
I remember those days.
Yes. So
That's how
I,
we met. I'm so glad you mentioned that because when we were before we started recording and we were just kind of catching up, and you said something about how long we've known each other, I was trying to remember how we met. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
yeah, it was at Old Soul Coffee Shop
Yes,
with a lot of people, and I can't remember her first name, but I think
cinnamon.
Cinnamon
Yes.
Van. Anyway, it was just you. Anyway, I started with you then.
Yep.
And somehow or another, I reached out to you multiple times. Oh, I also took one of your writing sessions on Fridays
Yes.
for work.
Yes.
I loved that. That was up in a loft.
Yes.
Or
Yep. I used to have an office in Midtown where I would hold workshops. Yep.
And I was actually working on my memoir then, but
Hmm.
I didn't know what I was doing or where I was going. I was just consistently writing lots of short stories
Hmm.
that really weren't woven together until I met with you during the pandemic
Hmm.
to write a memoir.
Yes.
I took those stories that I'd already written, not very well, and I started weaving them together with you and your input.
Hmm. Yeah, and you ended up with a full-length manuscript that was pretty hefty, like 80,000 words or something like that.
I don't remember. 30,000 rings a bell because but I don't exactly remember.
Oh
But
no, it was way more than 30,000 because that program you're talking about, Nonfiction Boot Camp, I don't offer it in the same way anymore, but
hmm,
everyone who did that program with me had three deadlines, and the first two deadlines were partial manuscript deadlines for 30,000 words.
oh, okay, got it.
And then your final deadline was the complete manuscript deadline, and I do remember yours being somewhere around 80,000 or more. It was pretty long.
Mm, and it's longer now.
Okay. I don't know if that's a good thing, but tell me
Oh.
more, tell me more.
So after the pandemic, there was something that you said to me while we were in, I'll just use the word, while we were together writing. Okay.
Yes.
And it was something along the lines of, it was something about, I felt that I was not getting to the core of what I needed to say. And I was holding back. And I felt like I had built a brick wall around my writing heart.
Mm,
I couldn't get I couldn't get to where I needed to be.
mm-hmm,
And I'm still not sure I'm getting there.
mm,
But from there, I needed to open up and become more honest and more free with my
mm-hmm,
writing. I don't know what was like. It was like I had a clamp on my creativity and my heart
hmm,
with like a vice.
hmm.
I felt it.
Yeah.
You never said that to me ever, but I felt it. And I thought to myself, I mean, I'd come a long way from writing all these little short stories that were like scattered and went nowhere to putting them together into something that was functional. I don't know if that's the right word. And then,
Or
um,
cohesive.
cohesive,
I like to use the word cohesive. Yeah.
cohesive. So then when we wrapped up, I know what it was, Jan. I was at one of your workshops in Tahoe,
Yep.
and you read one of my sections about witchcraft in,
Yep.
in Belize, in the Caribbean, and your eyes lit up and you told me you liked it. Now, my instinct is to say, is she lying to me? That is my instinct. Is she like just bullshitting? I have to let go of that and
Mm.
believe that not all of my writing, but some of my writing is good. And you
Hmm.
saw that
Hmm.
and you published it in Under the Gum Tree.
Hmm.
And I mean, I definitely had editing. And I'm telling you, once I went through that line by line editing, um, all of a sudden I forgot her name. Dorothy.
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 Yes.
It was almost as if a whole new world opened up.
Mm.
Having someone look at the gaps
Hmm.
and the sentences and and just kind of, and it's hard, letting go and letting Dorothy
Hmm.
guide me
Hmm. Hmm.
actually opened me up
Mm.
to better writing. And
Hmm.
so Stories on Stage, when it was called Stories on Stage, put out a note to us, to the volunteers, and said, well, I hear the note said, I hear some of you are writers. Submit something, please. And so I submitted Obia Child. And the story, I believe, is wonderful. The the reading itself was not, but the story was.
Mm.
The bigger picture is Anne DeVega. I don't know if know her.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, she came up to me and she said, Joella, I have a writing critique group. Do you want to join it? And I'm like, yeah, okay, why not? And that's what came out of that
Hmm.
Stories on Stage. So I worked with her and her group for about a year. Some of the people in that group were like with their writing.
Mm.
I had just started to revamp my memoir into fiction.
Hmm.
My memoir is called Regret is a Curse, which I'm not sure I'm going to keep that. But I revamped my memoir, because in 1904, my great grandmother was kidnapped by a Guatemalan soldier and never found. I didn't put that in my memoir with you.
Hmm.
Then, in actuality, in 1974, when I was 15, one of the most notorious rapists and kidnappers tried to kidnap me off the streets of Vacaville. And I kept saying, how did I escape this man? How
Mm.
did I escape this man? And so I started listening to my intuition, and it just unfolded. It said to me, my great great grandmother was calling me to write the story of her kidnapping so that in 1974 she could say to me, run, get away, save yourself.
Hmm.
And in between all that, I took every single thing I wrote with you practically
Hmm.
and I wove it in. and it might be like way overdone now because I got a lot in there.
Yeah.
But I've gone from 1904 to 1974, and I'm wrapping it up. Um, I guess in the 2020s somewhere.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. I
Mhm.
want you to give like a little overview of what the book is about. You've mentioned a few things like the great grandmother, the experience you had in Vallejo, but give like the high level, like what's the book about?
The book is about really listening to, I mean, this is a pat answer. It's about listening to my intuition
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out and believing in myself that I knew how to get out of a bad situation and
Mm-hmm.
save myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When not many young girls who are raped or kidnapped or whatever, they don't know how to get out
Mm-hmm.
and save themselves. And I just have really, this is what I believe this book is about. Families have problems. Those problems follow through from generation to generation to generation. I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And um, those problems follow through. And I didn't want to be a statistic, a girl who was kidnapped or attacked. I didn't and end up having a shitty life.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted, in spite of it all, to have a good life.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
spite of having, sorry, Dad, in spite of having a father who was pretty vicious,
Mm-hmm.
and in spite of having a mother who was blind and schizophrenic,
Mm-hmm.
I have tried to figure out through this, there's got to be a better word for this, memoir fiction, fiction memoir. I don't know. But
Well, we'll come back to that, so keep finish.
it's just, I was working, I have been working to figure out why me? Why did
Mm,
I get away?
mm,
Why did I, why do I have a successful, I'm not ashamed of having a successful life.
mm-hmm,
But how did I do it? What is it about me that allowed me to get away from one of the most notorious rapists in all of California, in
mm-hmm,
practically all of the world?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And the only thing I could come up with is that two things. One, I listened to my intuition, and two, it was the spirit voice of my great great grandmother
mm-hmm.
guiding me.
Okay, I'm getting chills.
And I think it was the spirit voice of my mother telling me, like 2 weeks before I was attacked, there is no reason, Joella, for a grown man to ask a young, I was 15, to
Mm-hmm,
ask a 15-year-old girl for directions.
mm-hmm,
There's no reason.
mm-hmm,
Remembered that. I remembered what my mother said, even when she was blind, even when she was like, well, not
mm-hmm,
very stable. She was stable enough to tell me who to trust and who not to trust,
mm-hmm,
when to trust and when to run.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so that is really, and I'm working, I am working through, I've got two more big chapters to wrap up. Um, and then it was suggested that even when I'm done with these two final chapters, that I hire someone for line by line edits. I'm not sure I want to do that. It starts running into a lot of money.
Oh, sure. Well, we can get into that too because I have thoughts, but my thoughts always come with questions
Yeah,
if you remember.
I love that. I love it. Me too.
So, um, Okay, I want to also now go back a little bit to what you were saying about the short piece you read at the retreat that I had with clients in Tahoe, the Obia Child piece that eventually was published in Under the Gum Tree, which I'm glad you mentioned that because I'll have to go back and figure out which issue it's in so that I can mention that in the show notes of this episode. People can purchase that issue and read this piece that we're talking about.
Okay.
Which is about witchcraft from an experience that you had while you were living in Belize with your grandmother at the time.
Mhm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because the way I remember it, part of the reason why it was so impactful for me, and like I really, you said my eyes lit up when I heard you read that. I had been working with you on your manuscript, but I don't think there really was any witchcraft in the manuscript as a whole. This piece, I feel like I remember that was the first time you had touched on that material. Is that accurate?
Um, I would say yes. And the reason
Okay.
I can say yes is because what I was doing when I was working on memoir with you is I was cutting and pasting all my old stories
Yes.
into my memoir,
Yes.
and trying to make it, what was the word you said? Cohesive?
Cohesive.
Cohesive. And trying to
Yes.
make it cohesive. But I would say, well, my father is from Belize, and I mean, it is very Caribbean and it is very witchcrafty.
Yep.
It's a witchcrafty country. And
Yeah.
I grew up around that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Janna, even my dad was part Mexican, part black. You would never know it from looking at me. Part black, part Mexican, and part Scottish and whatnot. But I hid that
Mm.
until later.
Mm.
I think even when I wrote that short story about Obia Child, witchcraft, I don't think I still have that wall around my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I even understood the beauty of being raised in part in a foreign country.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I wanted to go back to that particular piece and that moment is exactly that, where you're talking about you were trying to find the heart of the story. And I remember hearing you read that, and I thought to myself, oh, this is it. Like, this is the missing piece
Mm,
that this this narrative needs because it's the thing that sets it apart. it
uh,
it's it suddenly becomes more than simply a retelling of childhood and childhood trauma. Now you're layering in what you said, this experience of intuition and ancestors and the spirit realm, that has transformed your life.
yes.
Yeah.
That, yes. I mean, I think the spirit world, and I have a lot of intuition,
Yeah.
but it's taken years for me to tap into it. And
Mm-hmm.
like when you
Mm-hmm.
said you liked that story, Over Child, I'm like, really? It takes time to
Uh-huh.
tap into magic. How's that?
Yes, yes, yes.
If you're open to it. It's
It
hard.
does. It does. Well, it's hard because our human brains want to explain things logically and chronologically and with something we can see, taste, touch, and feel. Um, but what we're talking about, the magic, the spirit realm, that is all so intangible and ethereal that it's easy for our human brains to write it off and push it aside.
And I think, Janna, I have become a better writer over the years.
Mm-hmm.
In part because even when I'm writing and something comes to me and it says, use this word or use that word or whatever, or change that sentence or cut and paste and move this paragraph here. It is all about intuition
Yes.
for me. It's about
Yes.
tapping in and paying attention. It rather than going, this happened first, this happened second,
That's right.
this happened fourth.
That's right. And I love hearing you say this because that's exactly what if there's one thing I could impart on every woman that I work with, it's exactly what you're talking about. And I don't often use the word intuition with them, but I use the term self-trust, which is this, in my mind, it's the same thing.
I love it.
You're learning how to trust yourself, your own instincts, and the work. Trust and listen to the work because it is a part of you. And when I say that out loud to someone for the first time, I can see it on their face. They're like giving me this weird look, like it's words on a page. But no, it's actually a living, breathing thing because it is a part of you and it is something that you interact with and it will speak to you if you let it.
And it's very hard to let it in.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know if that letting it in comes from, I think it comes from writing almost every single day.
Yes,
And even equally as powerful, Janna, for me, has been editing
yes,
every single day.
yes.
Sometimes, I remember one time you said, it's a long time ago, you said, even if you can find 10 minutes to write, to edit, that's good.
Yeah.
So even when I can only find 10 or 15 minutes, and I should find more because I'm retired, but find a few minutes, I am proud of myself because sometimes those few minutes give me the best sentence ever.
Yes.
And then I have to shut my computer down and go to yoga.
Yeah. And yoga is equally important in developing your intuition and your creativity as sitting down in front of the computer, in my mind. Like it's exercising the same type of muscles just in a different way. It's cross training. You're cross training your intuition, your creativity when you do that.
And also kind of piggybacking on muscles. I really have become aware that this writing process is about developing muscles
Yes.
by doing it like maybe not every single day, but doing it almost every single day.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so
Okay.
I said we would come back to this, which is you don't know what to call it. It's memoir fiction. So talk to me about that. Why are you having a hard time with that? And I'm going to ask directly, why not just call it memoir?
Okay. I decided to call it fiction because when I was writing memoir, it, for me, even though I got farther than I'd ever gotten before, it felt like I still had that brick wall around
Okay.
my heart. But when I said, okay, I would hear my great great grandmother's voice talking to me, telling me, I'm sorry to sound like a little weirdo here, telling me to write about her kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thought, well, it has to be fiction because I was not there when she
Mm-hmm.
was kidnapped. So
Mm-hmm.
how can it be anything but fiction? Because I wasn't there. So I wrote about her kidnapping as if I knew every detail.
Mm-hmm.
And then um, I wrote about her life as a kidnapped woman, but as if I was there, but I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I have three point of views. I have my great great grandmother's point of view. I have my grandmother Ella's point of view, and my now fictional Joella, who I call Zia, her point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep wrapping. But I couldn't write I felt like I had to write fiction because, I mean, I really wasn't speaking to the dead,
Yes,
right?
you were.
I mean, I sort of was in my brain, but
I mean, if you're sitting here telling me that your great great grandmother's voice is coming to you, you were speaking to the dead.
how can that be memoir?
Because it
I
happened
mean,
to you, because that happened to you.
not that I didn't know her in 1904, though.
Okay, true, true. So what you're talking about is speculative nonfiction.
Okay, let's call it that.
Okay, great. It's speculative nonfiction.
Speculative nonfiction. I like
Yes.
that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna forget
I
it.
mean, okay, here's the thing. And you can still label it memoir if you want. Okay. Here's my thing with genre. You can call it whatever you want as long as you tell the reader what you're doing.
In the beginning, I
At
open.
any point. So, for example, if you're going to shift back and forth between these voices,
Okay, good.
and you're basically imagining, you're speculating about what happened to your great grandmother and what her life was like, right? You're the one doing the speculating.
No, I am writing from her point of view as if
Right.
she's telling the world.
Right. But you, the author,
Oh, got
is
it.
creating that out of speculation.
Yes. Okay, I'm with you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You, the author, are creating that out of speculation. I just had a momentary grammatical error in my own speech. Um, so as long as you signal to the reader that that's what you're doing in some way, so it's a very easy little thing around, like, as soon as you come up to a section where you're going to do that, it is the other, and I here I am speculating because I haven't read the current version of your manuscript. So do you write in the first person?
For each point of view.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm guessing probably an author's note would solve it for you.
Okay.
But what I was hinting at before is a different version of doing that, where in fact I've worked with another client who did this for her own manuscript. Her book is coming out next June, and she's going to be on a future version, a future episode of this podcast with me talking about her book. So I think we'll get into this even a little bit more. Very similar experience where she writes and speculates about her mother's own experience during World War II.
Mhm.
And her mother is no longer living. And so she's reconstructed complete scenes where her mother is like living her life and walking down the street in, you know, World War II Europe, right?
Yes.
And her whole manuscript is written in the first person. And so when we come to these sections about her mother, there's just usually like a little signal phrase where she says, I imagine my mother. And then the rest of the whole section is the scene of her mother in her daily life. And so the imagine is the signal to the reader that the author is speculating.
That would actually be fairly easy to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you already have your manuscript set up where you're shifting between these
POV.
characters and point of views, and you have imagined and speculated about the lives of these women, all you and you want to call it speculative nonfiction and you want to call it memoir, all you have to do is tell the reader that that's what you did, and an author note would solve that.
I can do that. Um, I am maybe two chapters away from hardcore editing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm two chapters away from that. And the idea of an author's note has come up.
And
Uh,
that's not something you have to decide right now. That's usually like the very last thing that you would do even before publishing. Um, so I'm not trying to pressure you into calling your book memoir.
well, that's okay. I mean, you can try, or you can try. but it wasn't working for me once I started thinking, "Oh, okay, well, I have these spirits talking to me." So I,
Yeah.
I can't call it a memoir because who the hell is going to believe that spirits came to me and they're guiding my writing?
I believe it. I believe it. And guess what? The people who are meant to read your book will believe it. There are more people who have those experiences in the world, I bet, than you realize.
Yeah.
And if that is your lived experience, Joella, and that's the thing that you're writing about, that's what makes it memoir. And the way you've been talking about it with me right now, everything is about you and your experience and what's happened to you. And like you're talking about it like it's a memoir.
But I changed the names. Like
Okay.
Joella is Zia. I went online
Okay.
and I said, give me the most creative uh Hispanic female name, and Zia was at the top. So I
Well,
took that. I took
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, obviously, right now it sounds like you're treating it like fiction, which is totally fine. And all I'm saying is you don't have to do that unless you really feel like it's essential and necessary. And changing names is something easy to change back.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
and people change names in memoirs all the time. You know, maybe they'll keep their own name and the name of the people who are most closely connected to them in the story as real names, but people change the name of the people in their books all the time to protect privacy and
Yes.
all. So that's also a normal thing too.
So what I think I'm going to do once I'm done with one more phase of like line editing, line by line, I think I'm gonna submit my stuff to a hybrid. She
Yeah.
write.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, $10,000 to if they choose your book. But I think, well, that's okay. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Take it. And I
Mm-hmm.
interviewed with one of them, one of the hybrid ladies in Hawaii. I went to one of the workshops for She
Okay.
Writes. She
Yeah.
Writes. Were you there? She
No.
Writes? No? Okay.
Mm-mm. Was
Um,
it it was an event that they put on?
Not them specifically, but it was the Kauai Writers Conference. No,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hawaii Writers Conference.
Uh-huh.
I
And
went.
she writes press was there.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
so do you remember, okay, do you remember Barbara Caver and Margaret Whitford
yes, of course.
from Nonfiction Boot Camp? Okay, I have Barbara's book right here on my desk. It's
Yes.
coming out on December 2nd from
I
She Writes
follow her.
Press.
Oh, she went to She Writes
Yes,
Press.
she went to She Writes Press, and Margaret's book is
Oh,
also coming out from She Writes Press in June
really?
2026. Yeah.
Okay, so that really solidifies. I wasn't sure. Do I want to spend $10,000? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You take the book. So what this woman at I guess the owner of She Writes Press, and just so you know, we've gone over our half an hour.
It's okay. We're towards the end, and I will wrap up soon because I have a dentist appointment at three
Okay.
o'clock. So,
So when I interviewed with the owner of She Writes Press,
Brooke,
Brooke, she
yes.
has cute clothes. Yes, she's cute. Okay. So you have to send them your first 10 pages or whatever.
Yep.
She read it, and I could tell she read it. And she said, "Tell me more." And then when I was done telling her more, she went like this. She said, "Your story right now, as you've written it, is this big.
Mm-hmm.
But if you focus
Mm-hmm.
on um, the potential kidnap by Philip Garrido and and how the police treated you in Vacaville in
Mm-hmm.
1974 and treated your family,
Mm-hmm.
that story can get that big." And she,
Mm-hmm.
things like
And
that.
she was holding up her fingers like a little inch at first, and then she expanded her arms wide.
Right. And but
Yes.
her emphasis was to emphasize that how the Vacaville police mistreated a
Hmm.
young 15-year-old girl,
Hmm.
basically because she was from a poor family of an immigrant father and a blind schizophrenic mother. So they
Hmm.
didn't pay attention to you.
Hmm.
You weren't.
Okay, so all that's a true story. That's like, this is why I keep coming back to sometimes genre does matter because you're right. You can call it fiction if you want to call it fiction and it's easier for you or it helps you write better or whatever. But what you're talking about right now is a memoir. It's a true story because we're focused on this happened to a real person.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. And that real person is you.
In the author's note, I was told I could say that.
Yeah, you're right. You could call it autobiographical fiction.
Oh.
But
Okay.
I don't know, Joella. I would want to read it again before I said definitively this is what I would label it.
Here's what I want. I want to finish it. It's
Yep.
two more chapters.
Yep.
I want to find someone to do the line by line edits, and I
Yep.
don't want it to take a year. I just
Yep.
can't. I don't want another year
Yeah.
of like I have been editing hardcore, paragraph by paragraph, thought, making it all more cohesive.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
want.
you could probably submit it to She Writes Press before you did that. I happen to know that Margaret, I'm not sure whether Barbara did copy editing or not. They both did copy editing after their books had been accepted with She Writes. So I'm pretty
So
sure you could submit before doing that.
so she writes, did the copy editing, or they separately came back?
Copy, no, they hired their own copy editors because She Writes
Okay.
Press for publication. As far as I know, you would want to confirm this. They only do proofreading of the manuscript.
Oh, okay,
And
got it.
so I
I
remember Margaret, and I don't remember if Barbara did or not. So that would be something to confirm as well. I know Margaret did copy editing on her own before the book was finalized, but it was after it had been accepted for publication.
Well, then I am sending my book for sure to She
Yes,
Writes and say, and I'm definitely I might do that in January before the
yes,
editing that the what do you call copy editing is done.
yes.
That kind of makes me take a like a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. So January.
Okay, excellent. Well, you'll have to really land on your genre by then because you probably have to submit it with a specific genre.
Okay, and I'm thinking of Sibylline Press.
Sibling press?
Sibylline or Sibylline?
Are
SYB.
they are they also a hybrid?
Yes.
Okay,
No,
nice.
they're women only. 50, you're 50 years old and up.
Okay, nice. Nice.
Sybylline. Sibylline.
Okay, cool.
Julia Park Tracy, do you know her?
I don't know her.
Okay, anyway. All right. We got to watch your time. It's
I
2:50.
know. We need to wrap up. Thank you so much. So before we wrap up,
Yes.
tell everyone, tell me where can people find out more about you and this book once it becomes available?
Well, I have grand plans to put together a website,
Uh-huh.
all these things, to put together a website and all of that, but I haven't done any of that yet. And if
Okay.
anyone wants to find me, they can just look at Facebook because I put all my photographs there. I don't
Okay.
have my book there yet, but I'm not thinking that far ahead yet.
Okay, that's okay.
I mean, that's just the way it is. I
Yeah,
just,
that's okay. All right. Well, we'll just tell everyone to look for you on Facebook if they want to connect and stay in touch and hear what's going on with your book. And I thank you so much for your time and sharing your story.
Jana, I thank you for all of your time. And that big word behind you, it says smile, right?
It does. I have a little,
Right.
it's one of those little like
Yeah,
tchotchke
yeah, I
things
like
for your
it.
shelf. And it does say smile. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Well, I thank you for your time, your energy, and your smile.
Oh, thank you, Joella. Thank you again, Joella, for being here and for taking time to talk with me today about your book, your journey, this kind of wrestling that you've been doing with the genre. I'm eager and excited to see what you end up doing with it once you're ready to submit and get it published. And I feel like that path for you, we talked about the hybrid path as a real potential for you. Sounds like it's going to be a really good fit. And I'm excited to see how that all turns out. So thank you all for being here and for listening to another episode of More to the Story. I'm going to remind you about all the links that I like to mention. You can book that 15-minute diagnosis call with me at moretothestory.co/book diagnosis. You can download my free book outline formula worksheet at moretothestory.co/book outline. Don't forget to visit cafesantoro.com/Janna for 10% off your first order of whole bean roasted coffee from my parents' boutique coffee roastery here in Northern California. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram at Janna Marlise. You can follow Under the Gumtree at Under the Gumtree. No, Under the Gumtree is on Instagram at Under Gumtree because weirdly, when I started the Instagram account, somebody else had Under the Gumtree, so it's Under Gumtree without the without the on Instagram. Oh gosh, excuse me while I'm fumbling all over my words here today. And lastly, but of course not least, the theme song is written and performed by Jeremy Maron. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you very soon on the next episode of More to the Story.